Well, no, now you know it's broken. See, I'm helping you find things to fix.
What's that? Didn't drain probably. I've never seen it.
Have you guys not watched it down or no?
Yeah, but if we did, I think
No, we let it down there last year.
so a lot of times like the night before we put down like this, but then
Okay, so looking around the multiple roads and home roads, so that's the home roads stuff to come out of the one that's gonna fire up.
mine out. How's your arm? Good. 3 weeks ago, Thursday ago, and I was off. Not very good, but well. Really, what is the muscles tighten up around there, whatever area, just getting all yeah, it's pretty good. The only thing I still notice is if the ground's hard, if I'm driving steel posts or whatever, like that.
is.
But they don't even keep them alive. We're on, we're, on the deal.
got one here. Yeah, I got one. I mean, that's fine. I was just looking at it, so I was doing so. Okay, we're ready for the.
I'll try to do this stuff before I don't flip back and forth, you know, I just do the classes to get the filmerships underneath that, but for this,
Oh yeah, that's why he's here.
okay, we are ready?
You're ready.
Home ready.
Okay, well, thank you for coming back. Sorry for the delay, but we'd announced 10 o'clock for the beginners, so to be fair to them, we had to wait till then. Okay, we got the show arena hosed down, so I think we're ready to go. Class 200 are beginners. Leading off, we have Brooklyn Riley. Her steer weighs 1145, followed by Lena Hutt. Her steer weighs 1225. Reed Brockman. His steer weighs 1330, followed by Cole Cooper, 1540. And Graceland Davidson. Her steer weighs 1685. This is our first class of steers, our beginners. And as we've done for many years, thanks to the Page County Cattlemen, each of these kids should have received a new show holder. So they keep those for the entirety of their career.
classes I don't have, so I'm getting paid.
It's however you want to do it. Cattlemen will have their steak sandwiches, burgers, and hot dogs. No, I don't. I'm
Just for your information, looking ahead for lunchtime, the Page County Cattlemen will once again be grilling ribeyes, hamburgers, and hot dogs, I guess. I'm not sure what time they start, but during our lunch break, well, I'd take advantage of that if you'd like.
Yeah, she does, but we have whatever it is.
They have their ribbons that they'll get, yep.
But is there something more than that? For the rating game?
The rating game champion will get a banner, but we'll announce it later.
Oh, we'll do it, we're gonna announce that.
We'll get her the
overall
banner
list
later, yep.
Okay, but I
give
will
her-
announce that she is first right now.
You can, and then just announce it, the other ones that are in there, and we'll get them their rating game ribbons, they have those. And if you want this laid out in a different way next year, just let me know.
No, it's fine.
I'll do it however
It's
you
just,
want.
just when I'm looking at the classes, I don't have this information,
Yep.
banners down here, so I need another copy, so that's fine. I have an extra one. That's good.
Can you turn your mic off, Bruce?
Did they hear that?
All right. Well, if you would, put your hands together for these youngsters. This is their first year showing. And they're doing a really nice job out here. Really want to encourage them to keep up the hard work and to keep it up with this project. But to talk about the cattle, we're going to start here with, I think, a very logical choice. He's the most appropriate in his condition. He's probably the best looking from the side. He's probably the soundest. He's probably got the most shape and muscle. So I think he's a really appropriate place to start. Congratulations, young man. As we go to the next calf, I think he most emulates our class winner. He's probably the second most trim and attractive, and yet sound and soft. Get your hands on him. There's a lot of muscle, really appropriate amount of finish there. I think he was a really logical place to go with next. Congratulations to you as well. It got a little more challenging for me as we get into third and fourth. I think I preferred just the added finish and the added just robustness and boldness of the calf that comes next. I like it that he's going to push further into that choice select spread, and he's probably more and more likely to grade choice because of that. I think that calf gets around with more ease maybe than the calf in front of him, and is a little softer and fat steer looking in his rib cage. So I appreciate that about him. Next calf is the red steer, is chock full of red meat. I just would like to make that calf a little bit heavier in his condition. He reads to be just a little trim to me, and I'd like to see him just have a little bit more cover, and particularly like to see that kind of back into his flank and just some indicators of that. He also wants to kind of buck over in his knee just a little bit, getting a little straighter fronted for me, but a nice calf in that right, still real stout and has a lot of muscle. And the young lady's steer that comes next, one that's really practical in his kind. He's really sound and gets out and goes really comfortably. Just like to see him Just like to see him have a little bit more muscle as I get him behind him. Like to see him just stouter, heavier muscle, have a little more shape. But a really, really nice job to all these young kids out here showing their first calf ever. Give them a nice round of applause, and let's encourage them to keep doing it in the future.
Okay, congratulations to all these beginners for showing today, but first place goes to Reed Brockman. Reed was in memory of Lowell Bear, Audrey Bear, and Susan Bear Barlow. Randy and Valerie Bear family is sponsoring a banner to give to him, so congratulations to Reed. Our reserve champion goes to Cole Cooper. He will receive a banner sponsored by French Construction, Dewey and Connie French. In addition to that, being the top home raised calf, Cole Cooper will receive a banner or a plaque in memory of Gene Sunderman. Vicky, Brandy, and Ryan of Villisca are giving him a $25 cash award and a plaque. So congratulations to Cole Cooper, and thank you for those families honoring these kids. As I said, Cole was second, receiving purple, others receiving blue. We have Graceland Davidson. And I'll point out, too, that she was number one in the rate of gain contest, as you can see on your sheets, a terrific gain of 5.54. In third place, Graceland. Fourth place, a blue, Lena Hutt. And fifth place, Brooklyn Riley, also a blue. Lena Hutt also was in the top 20, tied for that, and Coles was number 9 in the rate of gain. All right, coming in next, we got two groups of market heifers. Coming in, we have Jade Mark, followed by Jacob Mark, who has 2 entries.
Thank you.
Cruz Schaefer, Stevie Wilmus, Aubrey Erickson, and Noah Comer. This is our first group of market heifers, and it's, I'll point out now, to be eligible to win your class or reserve, these heifers have to have gained 2.2 pounds a day. 2.0, I'm correct. Steers are 2.2 on the steers and 2.0 on the heifers.
Well, in our first class of market heifers here, we have a trio of heifers that made weight and a quartet made weight and a quartet that did not. So we're going to sort through the first three here, and then we're going to talk about the last four, respectively, kind of as they spread apart. The heifer that wins, I think she does so for me fairly handily. She's the most comfortable out on the go. She's the most attractive as you view her from the side. You get your hands on her, there's plenty of muscle, condition, spread, those types of things. She's got a lot of shape. Really appreciate that heifer quite a bit. I think it's a really, really nice place to start. Now the heifer that comes second, I think she's the second most attractive heifer in the class. She sure puts together a nice image from the side, and she handles with the right kind of condition and muscle and spread. For me, I just like to relax her, particularly out of her rear two, and let her just go with a little more comfort and ease. Like to just lengthen her up in her neck just a little bit. That's a really nice heifer here to go second. Heifer in third, I think she has a lot of width and spread up high. She's probably the biggest backed animal in the class. Really impressive there. One that I'd like to see go just a little bit better off of her rear two. She wants to get kind of uncoordinated and uncomfortable out of her rear two. But again, a really stout heifer that handles and well and has the right amount of degree and finish and made weight. Now the heifer in fourth, I think if she would have been able to make weight, she'd have been in that top trio pretty easily. One that I think moves substantially better than the heifer in front of her, and she still handles with the right kind of degree of finish and the right kind of spread and muscle up high, has the right kind of shape. Just didn't make weight today, unfortunately. The heifer that comes next, I think of the last three that didn't make weight, I think that she is one that has a little more finish, a little more the right kind of fat cover there as I touch her over her ribs and over her loin. One that reads to have just a little bit more muscle than some of those that are coming after her. Just like to soften her in her body just a little more, and have had her be a little more efficient as she gained. Heifer that comes next, I think she's the one that just naturally comes next in terms of her muscle and her shape. One that gets around the ring with some ease. Like to just make her heavier. Like her to have a little bit more cover over her 10th and 12th rib, and I'd like to see her just have a little more as I touch her over her loin as well. But one that's got some spread and some muscle shape. And the heifer that comes next actually has some nice cover as you study her there. One I just like to have be a little bit more expansive as I touch her over the top side of her body cavity. One that just gets a little bit more closed up in her skeleton, and that's reflected in a little bit of her muscle as well. Just like to give her a little more shape. Like to have her been a little more efficient on feed. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
All right, in that first class of market heifers, Stevie Wilmus received purple, and also purple, second place, Crew Schaefer. Receiving a blue, Aubrey Erickson. Others in that class, Noah Comer, fifth place, Jacob Mark, sixth place, Jacob Mark, and seventh place, Jade Mark. Okay, we'll bring in our second group of market heifers now. Leading off, we've got Maggie Carlson, followed by Briley Means, Katie Ryan,
This is the second class, and we'll pick on you.
a really nice top pair here in this class. I think some subtle differences, but I think when it all comes down to it, I just appreciated maybe the balanced look and some of the little things that I thought that the brockle-headed heifer did better from the side in her look. She's a little bit better at the top side of her neck. She ties in there. I think she's better in her chest floor and how she balances in her lower rib cage, which just allows her, when she's parked there, to give me just a little better look. One that I think is soft in her rib. She's got a lot of muscle. She does all the fundamental things pretty well. Like to loosen her up on her rear too just a little bit, but one that I think gives a nice balanced look from the side. I will tell you that I think that the white-legged heifer here in second, she touches to me with the best handle that I've had yet. Really nice over her rib and has a little more cover than the heifer ahead of her, and I definitely appreciate that. One that I just like to neaten up at the top side of her neck just a little more, tuck up in her chest and kind of in her navel, and one that if in an ideal world to me, she would go a little bit easier off her rear two, and if she would do that, I think that she'd certainly compete and maybe get over that heifer in front of her, but one that has a lot of muscle, the right kind of market shape. On the heifer that comes next, one that just ran into two really good ones ahead of her, one that's really soft in her body, one that obviously has been very efficient on feed, and is certainly probably has the best chance out of all three of them to push into the Choice Select spread and grade well as she hangs on the rail. One that gets around with some comfort and ease. Just like to give her a little more look. One that I'd like to give just a little more muscle when I stand in behind her and shape. But again, nice heifer here to finish out our class. It's been real efficient for this young lady.
In that second group of market heifers, our champion is Maggie Carlson, and our reserve goes to Briley Means. And also Katie Ryan will receive a blue ribbon. Okay, we will pick our champion market heifer now. We'll bring back the top two out of those two classes. That first group, we've got Stevie Wilmus, and as we just judged in that last class, Maggie Carlson.
Well, put your hands together for your market heifer exhibitors here. I think there's four real nice heifers out here. Certainly think that our class winners are definitely really nice representatives for this division out here. A little bit of differences to me in terms of type and kind and size, but in my mind, I think both are good enough market animals. They've made the weight that is required of them, and so for me, I'm going to go out and pick the one that I think I just appreciate some of the structural soundness, some of her added look and stuff like that. So I just want to congratulate each and every one of these exhibitors again, and I'll go pick your champion and reserve market heifer.
Okay, we have our champion market heifers now. Champion goes to Stevie Wilmus. She'll receive a banner sponsored by Richard Cattle Company. And our reserve goes to Maggie Carlson. She will receive a banner sponsored by Wright 5 Farms. Congratulations to those two. Okay, we'll move on to our home-raised steers, class number 4. In this first group, leading off, we have Cody Fast. Carson Cooper. Then we have Mackenzie Fast, followed by Lydia Forsythe. And then Owen Wright. This is class number 4, our first group of home-raised steers.
Thank you.
Well, 5 really nice steers, really good feeding steers here in this group. I commend each of them for getting their calves to the right condition and weight. But I think the one that we're going to start with, to me, just puts the most good together. He's the soundest calf out here that has the best look from the side and the most balanced image. He handles with a lot of spread and the right amount of finish as well. I know he's a lighter weight calf in this class, but to me, he just put the most good together. He's the best structured, the best looking, and heavy muscled, so I thought he was a pretty clear-cut winner. The steer that comes second in class, to me, he does so more from a structure perspective. Calf, compared to those behind him, I think gets around with the best, he has better feet shape, and he's probably the most free and easy as he goes off either end of his skeleton. You know, compared to the calf in front of him, I'd like to make him just a little more attractive up front and have him balance in his underline a little better, be a little leveler out of his hip, but a really good practical fat steer right here that's real sound in his kind. Calf that comes next is real heavy muscled, real soft bodied. Really like that about him. In fact, he probably balances in his underline just a little bit better than the calf that precedes him. But one that I really appreciate that about. But one I'd just like to see move just a little bit easier to get over those calves in front of him. He wants to get up on his pastern, be a little uncoordinated and uncomfortable off his rear two at the go. But a really good practical fat steer that's obviously gained really well for this young man. Now, you know, next calf we have coming, he's a real meat wagon, real stout calf that's heavy boned, heavy structured, got some base width and things like that. One that I just like to see be a little softer in his rib. He gets a little tighter there for me, but one that definitely has the kind of muscle and shape that you'd like out of a market animal. And to finish out the class, a steer that's gained well, steer that handles with a nice amount of finish, degree of finish and cover. One that I just like to see, compared to those ones in front of him, be a little bit more attractive when I study him from the side, and I'd particularly like to see him just be more coordinated as he goes off of his rear two. I think that would really improve the way that he gets out and handles himself around the ring, but a very practical animal to finish the class with. Really good doing class of fat steers.
All right, in that first group of home-raised steers, first place goes to Cody Fast. I'll point at Cody, this is his last year. He will receive a $50 cash award from the Page County Cattlemen. Our reserve goes to Mackenzie Fast, receiving a purple. The rest receiving blues. In third place, Owen Wright. Fourth, Carson Cooper. And fifth, Lydia Forsythe. And I'll point out, too, that Lydia's calf was tied for 10th in the top rated game. Okay, we're ready for our second group of home-raised steers. This is class number 5. Leading off, we have Reed Brockman. Followed by Evan Fast. Eli Voorhees. Maggie Carlson. Ian Forsythe, and Owen Johnson. This is class number 5, our second class of home-raised steers.
on this home raise, as they get a little heavier, I think we've got calves that split out into pairs, the top pair, middle pair, and bottom pair. I think it just kind of, that's how they sort. Calf that starts the class, a really heavy structured, sound moving, flexible one. It's got a lot of body, really soft made, handles with some spread and touch up high, and probably offers the most attractive look from the side as he sends his neck high out of the top of his shoulder. Honestly, in my mind, he's a little wasty in that added body that he has, and that's where I'd like to change him, but a real nice calf to start with. I think a really powerfully constructed, stout made, big boned, heavy muscled calf that comes next. That's just really practical, really sound, really stout. Really like that about him. Just like to make him a little better looking to compete with the calf ahead of him, but one that I think does a lot of things really well. And that's just good practical cattle right there. Calf that comes next, I like his image from the side. He's got the right kind of condition and trimness for me. I really like how he is in his rib cage. He's really bold in it, really stout in that. One that I'd like to just intensify in his bone a little bit. I'd like to give him just a little more foot, which would make him a little more comfortable in his pastern. But I think to me, he's a really for this next pair of steers that don't have as much muscle as those two that precede him, one that probably offers a little more look than the calf that comes after him, but a really nice calf in this red Baldy. Calf that comes next, I think he offers some really similar things as the calf in front of him. Just probably doesn't do it in near as neat and tidy of a package, but still a really good doing, good ribbed, good muscled calf that I just like to have go just a little easier off his rear too. But again, a really nice fat steer here to come next. And the remaining two, I think it's structure that sorts it for me. This is the black steer coming next. I think he's just a little freer and easier as he sets his feet down, and it kind of tells the story from there up. He goes with a little more flexibility and ease there. Just like to spread him apart a little bit more in his muscle and shape, and to compete with those calves ahead of him. But for me, still a really practical calf that's going to hang a good carcass. And the calf that finishes the class, I think another really just practical kind of fat steer, one that handles with the right kind of finish, one I'd like just to intensify in his bone a little bit and make him just a little more attractive from the side. Like to give him just a little more bone so that he would go a little easier off his rear too. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
All right, in class number 5, our second group of home-raised steers, our champion is Maggie Carlson, and our reserve goes to Owen Johnson. The others receiving blues, Reed Brockman, third. In fourth place, Evan Fast. Fifth place, Eli Boys. And in sixth, Ian Forsyth. In that last class, Reed's calf was 14th in the top rated game. Evans was 19th. And tied for 20th, Ian Forsyth was tied for 20th in the rated game. All right, we're ready for our third group of home-raised steers, class number 6. Leading off, we have Maddie McCoy, followed by Dalton Wright. And we have Skylar Masher, Hadley Miller, Braden Noteware, and Ian Forsyth. This is class number 6, our third group of home-raised steers.
in our last class of home raised here. I think a really nice combination calf to start. I think to me, he's the one that combines the best kind of structure with some look from the side in the way that he's proportioned out, the way that he goes in his lower body and his softness there, the fat steer look he has, levelness of hip, and those types of things to give him some balance. And then when you get your hands on him and get him behind him, he's got plenty of muscle and touch and spread. He's a big-footed, heavy-structured steer that I think just puts together the most positives there, and I'm the most comfortable with him structurally, so I'm going to use him to win. Now, the calf that comes next, I think when he first hit the ring, I thought, oh, maybe we'll have him win the class, but as he goes out of his rear two and really is uncomfortable at the ground there in his foot, that I got uncomfortable using him to win, so we're going to have him be second. Really like how his neck comes out of the top of his shoulder, like his robust and round rib cage, like how he's stout when I get him behind him. Just want him to go a little bit better out of his rear two. Nice, real soft made fat steer here in third, really soft in his center body, level out his hip, has nice parallel lines. He too wants to just get up on his rear pastern a little bit, and he's just not as expressive and stout as I get him behind him compared to the steers in front of him. Now the calf that comes next, I really like his added shape. I like his added, just muscle shape and spread. Just like to see him be a little softer in his center rib, like to lay him back up front a little bit, but a nice steer there that has gained really well for that young man. Really do like him out of his hip too. He's a little leveler out of his hip than the steer that comes next. Now, the steer that comes next has done an awesome job gaining for this young man. Still gets around the ring with some comfort as a 1,600-pound calf. I just like to see him be a little more attractive from the side. He gets a little heavier in his brisket, which is appropriate for a calf that's weighing that much. And the heaviest muscled, most shapely steers coming next in class, just like him to get around the ring a little more comfortably. He gets a little more upright in his shoulder and knee, gets a little more upright in his pastern and hock. But again, a really, really heavy muscled calf that comes next. Really, really nice set of fat steers here that are going to hang really good carcasses. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Okay, in that last class of home-raised steers, first place goes to Skylar Masher, receive a purple ribbon, and the reserve and a purple ribbon, Maddie McCoy. The rest of these receiving blues. Third place, Dalton Wright. Fourth, Braden Nowhere. Fifth, Ian Forsyth. And sixth, Hadley Miller. And as you might expect, these heavier weight calves, several of these were in the top 20 rate of gain. Dalton's was 15th, Skylar's was 7th, tied for 10th, Hadley Miller's. Braden Nowhere was 4th place, and Ian Forsyth 6th in the top 20 rate of gain. Okay, we'll bring in our champions in reserve out of the first two classes of home raised, and we'll select our champion and reserve champion home raised. Okay, and that our reserves, as they circle around one time, that first group of home raised, we have Mackenzie Fast, her steer weight 1310. Our reserve out of class number 5, Owen Johnson, his steer weight 1430. And our reserve out of the last class there at the north end, we have Maddie McCoy, her steer weight 1450. Okay, let's bring in our class winners. Out of the first home raised class, we've got Cody Fast. His steer weighed 1,200. Out of class number 2, we've Maggie Carlson. Her steer weighed 1,400. And our last class, just Finished up there, class number 3. We have Skylar Masher. Her steer weighed 1470.
Well, folks, put your hands together for a nice group of home-raised steers. Think it's impressive to think that all these steers are raised by these exhibitors, and more than that, I think being also home-raised, and then in this home-raised division, there wasn't a bad market animal that came in. All of them had the right amount of degree of finish. All of them had the right amount of degree of muscle. Just when you're thinking about cattle that need to go and hang on a rail, I think that's really something to be said for the people who feed these cattle out in this county, doing a really nice job. I think that there's some out here that have some give and take. I think there's some quality out here looking for sound cattle that have a little more look and image from the side in this cow show arena. So again, congratulations to all these kids. I'm going to go pick you a Grand and Reserve. Appreciate that these are all home-raised calves.
Okay, congratulations to our champion and reserve champion home-raised steers. Maggie Carlson had our champion, and she'll receive a banner through the Page County Cattlemen banner provided by, or through Twin Oaks Vet Clinic, Anderson Farms, and Brockman Family Farms. And Cody will also receive a banner through the Page County Cattlemen provided by Whip Sales and Service. Okay, we'll have those two steers back in here later for overall reserve and grand champion. All right, we're ready for class number 7. These are our commercial cattle now. I think we've got 4 classes of those. These steer away between 1065 and 1340. Leading off, we have Tory Burns, followed by Dylan Vardaman, Hannah Comer, and Kane Wellhausen. This is class number 7, first group of our commercial cattle.
All of them signed. We're done. Perfect.
As these steers get set here, I think just the combination calf to win. I think he's the best structured, he's the best in his finish, he's the heaviest muscled, he's the softest made calf that still presents a nice image from the side, a nice fat steer image from the side. Has a lot of shape and out of his hip and lower quarter stifle up high as you get your hands on him. I think a real appropriate place to start. Nice job, young man. As we get into the second place calf, I think he hits you as the really long neck, shapely one right off the bat, and it's his muscle that keeps him in second. But to me, I really like to soften him up. I'd like to take a little bit of the coarseness out of his joints if he was going to get any higher. If that calf was a little bit smoother made and softer, his look would probably propel him over the calf in front of him, but he's just a little hard in his joints and in his body for me today. Now this calf that's coming in third, he's really well presented. He's really good to the handle, honestly. He has the right amount of finish and touch. It's his structure that keeps him in third. He's the most upright out of his shoulder. He really wants to duck his pins and get underneath himself off his rear too. Just gets around kind of uncomfortably. But he's a soft-made steer that handles really nicely. And the calf that comes next, one that's really good structured, probably the advantage over the calf in front of him for sure. But to me, he just doesn't have enough muscle. He gets a little narrower when you get him behind him, a little narrower in his chest floor, and as you study him from behind, one that I just like to intensify in his muscle definition for him to get up any higher, but a good moving, kind of practical steer there to finish the class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
All right, in that first class, class number 7, our champion is Kane Wellhausen, receiving a purple, and our reserve goes to Hannah Comer, also a purple. Receiving blues in third, Tori Burns, and in fourth, Dylan Vardaman. Don't forget the cattlemen, you can probably already smell it. Smells good. They'll be cooking ribeyes, hamburgers, and hot dogs available at lunchtime. So if you're looking ahead, we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. As I've announced all morning, we will finish all the steer classes. That's through class number 10 before lunch. We will take a break and come back and pick our grand and reserve champion. Okay, coming in now, we have Class 8 under our commercial group. Leading off, we have Briley Means, followed by Luke Wellhausen, then Kane Wellhausen, and Hannah Comer. This is class number 8, our commercials.
Well, I think a real logical place to start here with this white steer, one that sure hits you hard with a nice look from the sides, got a lot of foot and bones, gets around with a lot of ease and comfort. Really, really cool in his rib cage and the way that he balances up. Handles with a lot of spread and muscle. I think just a really nice calf, a lot of high quality look as well. Very appropriate place to start there. I struggled a little bit with what to do next. I think both of these two steers have a lot of muscle. As you study them and you get in behind them and you get your hands on them and feel how much muscle they have and the kind of skeletal width they have and those types of things. For me, I think it's not necessarily at the stand where I sorted them, it's more at the lead. I think that the steer, the black steer, he just goes easier up either end of his skeleton. I think he's a little more comfortable out of his front end, and I think that he certainly is more comfortable out of his rear too. And that's kind of predicated by him being a little bit leveler hipped, and that allows him to take a little freer and easier step off his rear too. But two heavy muscled steers that ran into one that was pretty good ahead of him. Both of them have a lot of shape, a lot of muscle, and a lot of softness to them. Just like the gray steer to move a little easier off his rear too to get over the one in front of him. And that's taking nothing away from the black steer in fourth. That's a really, really practical made, soft, fat steer that I really appreciate the kind of gain that calf has had and the way that he gets out here and travels. He just doesn't have as much muscle as the calves in front of him. He's just a little frailer at the ground. But a really nice fat steer, young man. You've done a nice job showing him. Nice job getting him ready for the fair. Congratulations to everyone in that class.
All right, in class number 8, our commercials. First place goes to Briley Means, reserve Kane Wellhausen. Others receiving blues, Hannah Coma in third, and Luke Wellhausen in fourth, receiving a blue. And I'll point out Luke's calf was also tied for 17th in the top 20 rate of gain. Okay, we're ready for class number 9, our next to last group in the commercial division. Coming in now, we have Owen Johnson, followed by Dwayne Ryan, Cody Erickson, and Noah Wellhausen. This is class number 9 of our commercials.
Well, give them a round of applause for sticking it out. I think in general we've got some calves acting up because the weather's getting cool and they're not used to it right now. So hopefully we can keep them all tamed down and stuff. But calf that starts, I think he does so just because he offers us the best look from the side, the most balanced image from the side, and then he has a lot of shape and muscle, and when you get him behind him, when you get your hands on him, I'd like to see him go a little freer and easier off either end, but I think that calf gives you the best look from the side, and he's got the most amount of muscle. So congratulations to that young man. Young man that comes second, calf has a lot of shape and muscle as well. I really like how he handled. In fact, I think he handled with just a little bit more appropriate cover than the calf in front of him. However, to me, he just doesn't give you the same kind of look from the side and balanced image from the side as the calf that comes in front of him, and that's why he goes in second. Now, I'll tell you, in these last remaining two, both really sound calves, both calves that have gained really well and done really well in that respect. Calf, to me, that comes third, he just does so with a little bit more skeletal width. I think he's just a little wider, has a little more spread up high, and that's the difference for me between those two. Calf that comes fourth, I think he's really sound, good doing type of calf. He certainly moves with a lot of flexibility and ease. He just doesn't have the shape, as much shape as the calves in front of him. That doesn't take anything away from the fact that he's a dang good market steer that's going to hang a really, really good carcass when he goes to town. So congratulations to all those exhibitors.
All right, in class number 9, our champion goes to Cody Erickson. He'll receive a purple. Our reserve goes to Dwayne Ryan. In third, receiving a blue, Noah Wellhausen. And fourth, Owen Johnson, also receiving a blue. I'll point out his gap was tied for 17th in the rate of gain, and also he is a senior too, so he'll receive $50 from the Page County Cattlemen. And then others in that class too, Dwayne's cap was 16th in the top 20 rate of gain, and Noah's was 8th place in the rate of gain. Okay, we're ready for our last class of steers, class 10 of our commercials. Leading off here, we have Chevy Hutt. Followed by Case Schaefer. Carson Wellhausen. Katie Ryan. And a second steer of Carson Wellhausen. This is class number 10, our last class of the morning, the commercial group. Okay, I've been asked to announce that once we finish this class and pick a commercial champion and reserve, we will come back after lunch with the grand and reserve champion selection, and we're going to start that at 12:30. 12:30 is the time to come back in with your class winners, the top, or your champions in the market heifers, the beginners, and reserve and the commercial calves. Home raised, so there'll be 8 calves coming back after lunch for our grand and reserve champion. We'll do that at 12:30.
in our last class here of some really heavy steers that come to us. I think the calf that suits me best is the one with the most shape and spread and muscle. One that I certainly like to modify his rear leg. That's probably the first thing that I'll say. But I will say that when you get your hands on this calf, it is impressive how much muscle and shape and spread he has out of the back of his shoulder all the way back to his hip. He's still soft and practical in his rib. And I really appreciate about that calf. He's just all the shape and spread that that calf has. Now, I think it's really impressive that a 1,700-pound calf can get around as comfortably as this calf here in second, which is partially why I used him. I also think that he's got the second amount of muscle. I think he's got some good spread and some actual real shape that goes along with some of that added cover, but gets around really comfortable for a calf that's just really heavy. Just like to trim him up a little bit, obviously, but has certainly performed really well and is a big, heavy steer. I think the calf that follows him has he emulates that calf in terms of shape. Just like to see him maybe a little more extended in a few areas, but man, has he gained well, gets around fairly well for the type of condition and heavy just frame that he has. So congratulations, young man, on that. The bigger frame steer here that comes next, I like him in terms of his softness of body. Think he gets around also well with the kind of weight that he's carrying. One that I would like to just see have more shape when I get him behind him. One that just gets a little narrower compared to those ones in front of him, but he sure gets around well with that kind of mass that he's carrying. And the red steer that finishes off the class, again, man, he's gained well for this young man. He's big. He's got some softness to him. He sure gets around okay. He just has the least amount of shape in this class, and that's what puts him where he's at. But a really nice job. All these kids getting their calves gaining, doing a nice job.
All right, in that last class of commercial steers, class number 10, first place goes to Case Schaefer, received the purple ribbon. Reserve, Carson Wellhausen. In third place, our other steer, Carson Wilson. Fourth place, receiving a blue, Katie Ryan. And in fifth, Chevy Hutt, they're blue. And as we might expect in these heavier classes, most of these calves would be in the top rate again. Chevy's was fifth place. Case was in 13th. Carson steer, one of her steers, was in third. Katie Rhines was tied for 10th. And Carson's other steer was second in the top 20 rate of gain. Okay, we'll work around the rain here. We're going to select our champion and reserve champion commercial steers. We'll parade the reserves first when they get here. Out of that first group of commercials, we have the reserve, Hannah Comer. Her steer weighed 1285.
Yep.
Out of class number 2, a reserve with the substitute showman, Kane Wellhausen. Our other reserve. In third group of commercials, we have Dwayne Ryan, his steer 1445. And out of the last class of commercials, Carson Wellhausen, his steer weight 1700.
The one's down on the fence. Kate's
Okay.
down on the fence.
And our champions in each 4 classes. The first group, Kane Wellhausen, his steer weighed 1340. Bridie Means, her steer weighed 1355. Cody Erickson, 1480. And Case Schaefer, 1535. Those are our champions, each of those respective classes.
Well, put your hands together for this final drive here of these commercial steers, purchase steers. I think a nice set from top to bottom. I think there's one out here that really hits me hard, and then there's two out here that I kind of going back and forth with because I think one is a little bit more attractive in his look, the other one moves a little bit better, and I'm just going to have to sort through that in my head. But really appreciate that. Appreciate the seconds we've got back here as well. But again, congratulations to these young kids. We'll get you a champion reserve.
Okay, congratulations to our champion commercial steer. It goes to Briley Means. She will receive a banner sponsored by Merlin Swanson family. And our reserve goes to Cody Erickson. He'll receive a banner provided in memory of Paul Mellencamp by the Mellencamp family. Okay, we'll take a break now. We'll come back at, as I announced, at 12:30 for the selection of our Grand and Reserve champion. Of course, we'll follow that by our showmanship contest. 12:30, we'll see you back here.